Alright, hello, thanks for tuning in. We're going to recreate this organic looking thing. Actually, I got the idea of an egg yolk where the cheek was starting to form, and yeah, that's the final result. But we're gonna start fresh. New, don't save. We have the clear viewport. We're gonna use the default cube with subdivision surface, about 2 levels. We're gonna shade it smooth. Yeah, and we're gonna apply it. We're gonna go to edit mode. In the vertex tab here, we're gonna enable proportional editing, and we're gonna form it by pressing G. With a scroll of the mouse you can change the size of the proportion of the proportional editing. And yeah, by selecting one vertex and moving along the axis, you can give a weird shape. Right, so this is gonna be the sack. We're gonna add one more subdivision. We're gonna apply it because we wanna have materials as well. We're gonna go to the viewport shading, the material tab. We're gonna make transmission to 1. The enable screen space refraction. And if you have the shader editor open in a tab here, you can add nodes and have fun. We're gonna put roughness down to 0.05. We're gonna, because we want it to be blurry in the inside, we're gonna have to play with the transmission roughness here, which does I'll show you. We need to put another mesh here to see its refraction. So if you see the refraction inside here, we change the transmission roughness, creates this beautiful effect. But we don't want it to be all over the place. We want to be near the center where the mass is where there is more mass. So we're gonna Shift A, search layer weight node. We're gonna Shift A, S, color with a blur. Select the color ramp. We're gonna connect facing to the factor, color to the transmission roughness, and now we can control where we want the effect to take place. And also with the blend here, we have more control over it. So we don't want this to be completely black, we want this to be grayish, and this, we want this to be black because on the edges we want to have more refraction, more clear refractions. So we still have some edges here. We don't want the edges, so I'm gonna put another subdivision surface, this time 2 levels, apply it again, and we have this thing. So the plane we created, we can use it as a background. We can move it a bit down, can scale it, can move the camera, select this, press delete in your numpad to center, press 7 in the numpad to go above, or you can use this thing here. We're on the z-axis looking down to the mesh. With the scroll of the mouse we can zoom in and out. We also need a camera. We already have one, and we can press Ctrl-Alt-0 in the numpad to move the camera to our view. And now let's put some color. We want this to be yellowish, so I'm gonna create a material, a new material. I'm gonna put a yellowish color. We're gonna add a little bit of subsurface, 0.3, and in the subsurface color we're gonna make a more orange color. So the base color is more yellowish and the subsurface is orange. This creates, you see here in the shadow, without the subsurface it's like this, and with the subsurface it adds a little bit of depth. It looks nice. Secondly, we need to make the roughness of the plane up to 1 or 0.9. Specular to 0.5, it's fine. And we also need to change the light. Let's keep it a point light. It's 1000 watts. It's right here, we can see it. We can move it around. I'm going to put it right there and below our object to create this fun gradient, which doesn't say much right now, but it will in a few moments. So let's hide it. Select it and press H. If you want to unhide it, you can press Alt H, but with H you hide it. And we're gonna put a single vertex. This is part of you go here in the preferences, in the add-ons, you have add mesh, extra objects. You can if you have it selected, you have all these extra options here. So we're going to select a single vertex, add single vert, and we are in the edit mode. And now we can extrude it by pressing E towards anywhere, and we want to create a bit of a veiny structure like we saw in the beginning. So just select and imagine creating a tree, branches of a tree, and there we go. We have our veins. Now it doesn't look like much, but if you go back to the object mode and you go here to the modify properties and firstly add a subdivision surface to make it curvy, add a couple of levels in the viewport, also in the render. I'm not gonna apply this, I'm gonna keep it procedural because perhaps I might need to reshape the veins. And secondly, we need to add a skin modifier which adds thickness to the vertices we created. Now we don't want the thickness to be that much, so we go back to edit mode. You can press tab to switch between edit mode and object mode quickly, and if you go to X-ray view you can see the vertices, and by pressing A you select everything. With Control A you enable the thickness of the vertices, of the edges. So Control A enables it, and movement of the mouse modifies it. So, and you can see where we're going with this. We want the veins on the edges to be more thinner, so we select the vertices that are on the boundaries, on the edges, and with Control A, and by scrolling the mouse to adjust the size, the radius of the effect, we can scale down or up, but we want this to be scaled down, the edges. So if we disable for a moment the overlays, we can see it more clearly. We can select this vertex, Control A, yeah, on edit mode, Control A, and this looks like a tiny vein there. And of course you can go back to add more detail by selecting vertices and extruding, and by Control A by scaling down the vertices. So yeah, you can add some complexity like that. And now back in edit mode without the overlays, we can see that this looks a bit like veins. And of course we need to add a material for it to be more apparent, so new, let's make it a red one, and we might need another light here, or let's just go to the world properties and change the color of the overall viewport. You can see here and change the color of the background like that. And because we have a Yolk-like material, we can just make it yellow, so it will create this ambient yellow light, orange yellow. Alright, so back in the camera we can see that it's starting to form. Now if you remember, we have hidden our first mesh. With Alt-H we can make it appear again. Now let's enable overlays again to see what we have selected. So we can scale it down, can rotate it, we can, yeah, well, let's go back to the veiny structure, select the middle vertex here, and with proportional editing enabled, let's move it upwards, just to go through our sac there. And yeah, by using proportional editing you can move other parts of the veins as well to make it more, to give it more dimension. There we go. You can also rotate it by pressing R 2 times. Yeah, So this vein structure is complex enough, but we can make it even more complex if we select it and Shift D, duplicate it. With right click, we deselect it and make it go back to the starting position, and now with R we can rotate it to make it look more complex. And if we disable overlays again, you can see now it looks more complex. I think the light is a little bit too bright, so we could go here in the object data properties while we have light selected, and we can make the power like 300 watts or 200, 100, yeah, 200 looks good. And yeah, there we go. Let's try to make the veins pass through the middle here. As you can see, I eyeball it. I'm not taking any measurements. So yeah, we're gonna have to make the veins a bit more round. So if we select vertex 1 and let's select firstly, go to the modifiers and add a subdivision surface with 2, 3, 4. I think 3 looks good. 3 levels. Again, the vertex 001, subdivision surface 1, 2, 3. Now the veins are more roundish. So, and of course we need to have something other than veins coming through this sac here. Actually, let's make the sac a little bigger. Select it, scale it up. Okay, so now we're gonna duplicate it, because why not? We already have a mesh. Shift D, right click, go back to the material. We press this button here to make the material different than the original sac, so any changes we make won't affect the other material. We're gonna make this disable the screen space refraction, so that when we scale it down we can see it in the inside there. Also, let's put some color, make it more apparent, reddish. Now if we move it, you can see it in the inside there. This looks nice. And yeah, let's move it a little bit to the upper part of the sac. Makes the refraction clearer. So in the inside. Also, we need to see the outline of this shape here, not just its shadow. So we could add another light, Shift A, light, point light. Now we can see its reflection down the bottom. It's right there, so move it up and inside. And as you can see, creates this beautiful lighting effect in the inside of the sac. So yeah, making sure to be on the inside. And now Now if we put it, I don't know, there, we can see that its power is low, it's 10 watts, so let's make it 100. Also, let's move this organ somewhere. Don't know. Somewhere so that it is more visible, like there. Let's rotate it. Oh, yeah, forgot that we have the roughness down to 0.5. So let's make the roughness 1. This looks a lot better, I think. And also, because it's an organ, it should have some subsurface. So 0.3 again, or 0.5, and a subsurface color of, I don't know, perhaps purple. Yeah, let's see how this looks. Yeah, I'm playing with the colors here to make it, I want it to be a little darker. So there we are. There it is. Let's scale it down. Let's move it up. Let's duplicate it. Make another one here. Let's scale it up. Move it out the way. And let's change its color as well. But first, we want this to be a different material, so we press this number here or here, and now we can change its color to make it brighter, wider, and different in general. There we go. Yeah, the blur effect is too much here, I think, so we're gonna need to adjust it. So gonna make this a bit darker, and it's gonna look a little bit better. So by selecting the vertices here, you can rotate them so that you can see every vein in the frame. Actually, let's make it a square frame. Here in the output properties, make it 1000 pixels, and now it is a square. Select the camera, go to the object properties, and let's make it 33 millimeters. No, actually let's make it 50, but move it a bit closer. Alright, so by selecting the vertices again and scaling them a bit down, I'm gonna have to adjust it a little bit more. So select the vertex, Ctrl A, scale it up. Want some veins to be more apparent. Oh, actually, because we duplicated one of these and they have the same thickness and shapes, let's select one of them, go and change the thickness only in one of those. So now it looks like that. Move it to the up, And there you go. Because we there is a little bit of blurriness going on here, because here in the render properties, bloom is a bit too much, so we're gonna play with a threshold. Let's make it 0.9, 1.9. Don't know what it does. The radius, yeah, it's okay. Oh, we can also change the color. Yeah, let's leave it white. Intensity, yeah, okay. I think it looks good. So here is the final result. Now if you want to add movement to this, let's say to the heart here, select this shape, go to the modifiers tab and add a wave modifier. You can click along normals, disable Z, and let's make the height something small, 0.2, the fall of 0. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, let's make it a bit more, 0.3. Now it looks like a pumping heart. Right, and there it is. Then you're free to render animation, but make sure that here you have it. You have the file format as an FFmpeg video with an encoding of H.264 in MP4, and the quality set to high quality. And yeah, let's make the frames a little bit like 50, and you're free to render. Thanks for watching.